Hello, my Aquarius friends. This is Dr. Shiny with an general reading for the month of April. I am considering whether or not to go to do like mid-month readings. I don't know if there would be a ton of interest for that, but if you guys think you would like that, please let me know. Um, that way it would be readings twice a month instead of the normal once a month that I've been doing. So let me know what you think about that. Um, and I'll get right to your reading today. For your current situation, we have the world. The world is indicative of completion of cycles, also like full God realization and awakening, um, sort of a new understanding, an enlightenment of some sort. Um, and so it's like a new destination that you've somehow arrived at, that you found yourself at, where you're seeing things in a different light. It's a very positive, but often scary, difficult to navigate time period in your life. What's influencing you here is the star. This is sort of divine energy. In the picture here, she's pouring out both the sun and the moon. And the sun and the moon sort of represent two aspects of sort of logic. Well, it's like logic and emotion, that kind of thing, like intuition and intellect. And she's sort of pouring them all out and following a new energy, a different energy, something that's like grander in scale. You know what I mean? And so it's like you're being led now by the bigger picture a little bit more, um, by forces that are maybe bigger than you used to be led by. You may have used to chased after some like shallow sense of comfort or something like that, but now you're being drawn to more deeper feelings, things that are huge, to have tons of depth. And this is because you're becoming more in tune with a larger understanding of the world, a more expanded view of the world, that type of thing. What you had in your past and what got you here was you're going through this now because you came to a place to where you were very comfortable with your situation, or you essentially you put yourself in a box that was such a well-designed box that you didn't feel you were boxed in. It's like making yourself a house that's so comfortable to you that you never want to leave it, and it sort of becomes a prison. And so you had a little too much success in achieving a sense of happiness before, and now you are on another part of the journey, which is learning to sort of not cling to anything that you have and let it flow in and out organically, and more better things come to you. And you could sort of smother them if you don't let go continuously and remain detached. And you don't want to smother them because then that leads to negative cycles, and that's how you get feeling like you have bad luck and that kind of thing. So, but you're coming out of this, you're coming into an appreciation of the now, and when you do that, when you come into that appreciation of the now, you can automatically start hearing this sort of guiding influence, maybe literally, but maybe just metaphorically. You can see it speaking to you all over the place in all sorts of different ways, and lyrics on the radio and TV shows and things like that. Um, what you have in the future is the Queen of Cups, and this is if you follow this guiding force, this guiding light. If you follow it well, in the future you'll be a person who has a tremendous ability to enjoy and control and channel emotions, to love very deeply, and to do it with purpose. So it's not just destructive, raw, crazy love, which has a good deal of purpose in and of itself. But this is a more emotionally balanced, to where you're sort of uh, one of them would be, the first one would be more like jumping onto a wild horse and just hoping that you end up okay. But this one is more tempered. This is more um, training a horse how to sort of communicate with you and you to communicate with the horse, so there's like an interplay. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Both of them are beautiful in their own right, but this one has a more mature aspect to it, you know. And so that's what you're moving in toward. The foundation of the situation is the Ten of Cups. So I feel like maybe this is saying that you're sort of learning to be happy with the way that things are, instead of exchanging that happiness in the present for promise of something in the future, promise of this is going in a specific direction, plans, that kind of thing. And it's important, because if you don't learn how to appreciate what you have right now, you sort of are giving up years of your life freely that you'll never get back. And it doesn't have to be that way, because if you learn to live in the now, better opportunities get presented to you. You become a happier person. You draw happy people to you, and happy people are more generous people. You know, there's just this endless positive feedback loop that happens when you start to be happy and celebratory of everything that you have, instead of just sitting around thinking, oh God, you know, woe is me, everybody's out to get me, I never get my way, you know, that kind of thing. That kind of attitude will always be self-fulfilling. If you can learn to put that sort of attitude away, to stand up for yourself when you are being taken advantage of, but not to be bitter about it, or, you know, let it go after the situation, you know, handle your business and then it's gone. You know what I mean? Don't carry your anger for something around with you all day, because it will rub off on every single person around you, and they will think less of you as a person because they're perceiving the emotions that you took on from whatever challenge you went through, you know. So it brings everybody down. You have to learn this positivity, that type of thing. What's on your mind, or your crowning thoughts, your higher thoughts, is the Death card. This is associated with, it's not, in my experience, usually about like physical death at all. The cards are just way too too general to indicate that specific type of a thing. So you may be in a place where there's an idea that you really, really loved, and this is really what it is. It's being in love with an idea of love, with sort of having a particular way that you can envision something going, and really, really loving that idea to the point where you devote a lot of your energy and your time and your thought to it. And then finding out that, like, along the way, it's not that simple, it's not that easy, it's not going to be exactly what you thought it was. So there's like a part of you, because your dreams, your desires, they're a part of you, right? So there's a part of you that dies, and something new is born from those ashes. But if you stay focused on the part that is the death of the old idea, you can just stay sad and not move on, and that's not good. So that's why it's, you know, follow the stars. In fact, it's in this artwork, she's moving right toward a star there, and that was in what's influencing you, you know. So you know, death is a positive thing. It's growth. Death is growth. Death equals growth. So don't be afraid to sort of like keep a loose grip on your personality and who you think you are and that type of thing. It doesn't mean let it go completely. I think everything in moderation. So there's just learn that everything is not so serious that you have to be unhappy all the time. If you find that you're like unhappy more often than you're happy, there's a really good chance that you don't have to feel that way. There's a really good chance that you're imposing a lot of your own problems on yourself, you know. So it's a time for self-reflection and, awakenings and awareness, that type of thing. Your advice for the current situation is the devil. So I think that this being in your advice category is saying to keep in mind that everything is somewhat of an illusion. Nothing is really as serious as it seems. There's lessons that are being taught and things like that. But the devil has a way of getting in your head and causing guilt and all these things, all these emotions like, oh, I can't make my choice this way, or I shouldn't feel this way. And it makes you feel guilty or wrong about who you really are. And it's okay that you should feel that way, because it's what drives you to be a better person. So anybody who doesn't feel guilty or ashamed at all ever, I'm always kind of skeptical about them. They can achieve some really great things, but they can have a tendency to walk on other people to get those things. So I'm skeptical of them. I think that there's a more balanced way to approach like enlightening without selling your soul to the devil, essentially. But it's the process of sort of understanding that even though you may understand the rules of the game and how everything is working, there's still value in the game existing. So don't completely turn your back on it. It has, even though your head may be on a higher plane somewhere in the clouds, you still have to navigate your space here on Earth, and don't get too wrapped up in that aspect of it. Try to think of things in more of like metaphorical terms. Try to think of things in, like everything that happens in your life is happening for a reason. So what's the reason? Like you knock something over, you had an accident. What was something that you could have done better? And you have to be careful with this process, because if you let it go out of control and just do it all the time, you can obsess your way into like a nightmare. But just cut it off just instantly. Every time something bad happens, think, what's the opportunity for learning here? What did I not think about before that I can reasonably think about in the future? And if there is nothing, then move on, and that's just the way to get through it. Your current environment, what's around you, the energy surrounding you, that type of thing, is the Justice card. This suggests that in your transition period here, in the way that you're seeing things differently, you're going to feel bad for a lot of people because they're not really understanding what they're doing to themselves. You're going to see things about how you're living your life that instantly make you want to change, and then from that point on, you're going to feel like you want to warn other people about those same behaviors. But there's going to be extreme resistance from you if you do that, because essentially all that you're doing is saying, from their perspective, is saying like, you should be more like me. You know what I mean? And nobody really hears that message if they don't really see the value in the things that you find value in, or the vision that you find value in. If they don't really see and understand that, it doesn't matter how much you try to convince them, they're not going to want to come over to your side, to your vision, or that kind of thing. So there's a part of you that, when you're on this path, has to just sort of sit back and be sympathetic, be empathetic, and be a good person, but know that some people are sort of digging their own graves, and that by trying to stop somebody, sometimes you can make them sort of dig faster. You can make them come on stronger to whatever their problem is. So there's a need to be intuitive, to know the right thing to say, not just to say anything. Like, you can't just blurt out how you really feel, maybe because you want to. There may be something that they need to hear more than that, or there may be this may be a circumstance where you just need to stay silent around other people and let them talk, or just let somebody. There's a saying that if you give a fool enough rope, he'll hang himself. You know what I mean? So like that's the kind of energy that you're going for right now. There are people who have wronged you and wronged others who sort of deserve what they're getting. So don't stick your neck out for the wrong people, is what this is saying. Your fears card is the High Priestess. And so interesting one for the fears. This one is a very intuitive card. So I think perhaps that like up until this point, you've had a really good balance of conscious and subconscious. You've been extremely skilled at navigating this game called life, but you are now moving on to the next stage, and the next stage is about a little bit, it's got a greater sense of wonder and mystery, and there's less control. It feels very primal almost and dangerous at times, where you're a lot more instinctual and just wide-eyed and aware, you know. So it's also a place where on that sort of plane, or like that level of existence, you're coming into a place where you have to rely heavily on your instincts, your intuition, your gut feeling. And if you're a person who's been intellectual in the past, or been able to argue really well, this can be an uncomfortable position for you to move into. It can be hard for you to trust your gut. I feel like a lot of schizophrenia is sourced from this this slipping into a new perception, a new awareness of other people's intentions and things like that, but not knowing how to filter them down so that you don't feel them to their absolute greatest extent, right? So somebody may be indeed a greedy person who is just like out for money or something like that, or that may be what they're focused on in the moment when they're at work or something like that. But your mind can quickly allow you to just, you know, chalk them in the greedy bin and say that that's how that person is, that's how they live their life and everything. But there's always more complexity to it than meets the eye. So you have to have a lot of time, training, and practice to be able to trust your intuition to give you an accurate, not just a powerful signal. You know, there's two components you're looking for. You're looking for accuracy or precision. Accuracy and then precision. So accuracy is to say that it's on point, it's on topic. So in other words, if somebody is bad, you feel that they're bad, right? But then precision would be to say, well, they're definitely bad, but are they like Hitler bad, or are they like we probably shouldn't go streaking, but it'll be really fun bad, you know? There's like there's a scale there, and understanding that not everything is always on the complete end of the spectrum can help you navigate and be diplomatic with people in a way that you end up fighting your battles without ever knowing they existed. You know what I mean? You just sort of preempt everything just by using that intuitive ability that you know how things could go, and so you navigate a little bit more carefully, you know. The overall message for you is the Four of Swords. This is suggesting a need to, or a time to put the sword down. You know, this is restful. This is like structure and support. So you have some manner of protection from whatever you're going through. If you just sort of lean back and rely on it, and you are in a more restful state of mind where you can kind of regather your strength, recollect your thoughts, and start tackling back this problem a little bit. So navigating this space using your intuition can be extremely exhausting to learn at first and scary. So make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of rest. Like you let yourself have time to just not think about it, to do something that you just is purely for your enjoyment or something like that. You don't want to be harmful or do harmful coping mechanisms or devote too much time for this, because there is an energy associated with this, that this is not like a final rest, that this is a rest before a battle. You know what I mean? This is like Um, you just want to rest enough that you feel content to get back up there and, you know, rise to the plate, that type of thing. So this is saying, don't worry about feeling perfect. Don't worry about staying in line all the time. As long as you're trying consistently, as long as you keep coming back, you can take breaks. You don't have to feel as though you're like walking a tightrope all the time, you know. And so that's the general message for you. It's saying, relax, enjoy the ride a little bit. This is going to be really beautiful. The ride, or the path that you've chosen, is all about sort of enjoying the ride, so make sure you take some time to do that. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them. I love the comments, and I will see you guys next month. And please let me know again what you think about the mid-month readings. Okay? Have a good one.